Port Sarim is a death chunk. Okay, no it's not. But with my rules, it's absolutely a death trap. Unlike most chunkers, I don't restrict travel. Every boat, charter, oversized bird, or minecart is fair game. That means one bad roll can send me anywhere. Straight into chaos, and worse, death chunks you never expect. What's a death chunk, you may ask? In the chunk world, that's what we call grinds so brutal that even veteran players may uninstall and go touch grass. But I'm not a quitter. I knew the risks when I picked these rules. I didn't come to Port Sarim to play it safe. I came for adventure. Because for all its danger, Port Sarim is still one of the most peaceful, nostalgic, and iconic places in RuneScape. A quiet fishing village that just so happens to hold the keys to the most unpredictable adventure. What adventure, you may ask? Well, this is Chunk Ahoy, my Onechunk Ironman. RuneScape's map is divided into thousands of chunks, and I'm locked to a single chunk, aiming to unlock the map, one chunk at a time, starting from Port Sarim. And now I've rolled the South Grand Woodland chunk. Let's see what we've gotten ourselves into. Now, in order to finish this chunk and unlock the next chunk, I'm going to need to complete a few tasks. First off, I must obtain a staff at a 1 in 32 drop from the lower level barbarians, which I'll want ASAP before I begin the magic grind, and I'm really grateful I don't have to manual cast a 55 magic in the future because of this. And speaking of that, I'll need 33 magic for telegrab because barbarians can drop law runes at a rate of 1 in 128. The most important unlock, however, is copper longtails, which require 9 hunter, allowing me to go to 39 hunter to smoke traps. Normally I wouldn't have to do that grind, but since I lamped to 17 hunter, in case y'all want a puro, I unlocked hunter training. At least it's more thematic though, right? I hope this doesn't bite me in the butt later. Alright, now let's explore. Here I am in the beautiful woodlands of Kourend, with birds flying about. But first I'm geared up to do some barbarian slayer. So I'm gonna need 17 to 39 hunter, but I'm gonna do that after. I would love to get the staff for the magic grind first, so here's my full inventory of food. It looks like the copper longtails are gonna have to wait for me. Just gonna take a look around in case there's anything cool. Fremennik boat. I wonder what the lore is behind that. All right, it's time to get started. This is my setup. Best in slot gear. Looking pretty fashionable also. First barbarian down. Easy peasy. I'm gonna have to do so many more though. But I want to check what's down this ladder. I think that's for a quest. Okay, you can't go down there. That's kind of rude. And I will be continuing to try to get an easy casket with barbarians. They drop at a 1 in 128, so same as men, but tankier. And that is the staff, obtained in no time at all, which means I do not have to manual cast and I can start my mage grind. Let's go gear up. And here's my elite mage setup. Let's take a look at the gear. So, absolutely beautiful. Mime stuff does not give anything, just looks nice, and I wanted a little change of pace. So U shield has no negative stats, but just a few defensive stats, which is pretty nice. Amulet magic is huge. I got this from the easy casket, and the plus 10 boost from it, that's insane. Better than everything else combined. The blue wizard hat adds like a small bonus. The staff also adds a nice plus 4, and lets me manual cast. Okay, I don't have very much runes, and I have a very small cash stack, but I'm going to go and restock. Hopefully this is enough to get me close to level, or actually to the level I need for casting telegrab. If not, I'm gonna have to sell a lot of fletching supplies. And this is one full cash stack spent. Time to go take a look if it's enough. Not a whole lot to work with, but hopefully this will give me a good indication of how much I'm gonna need in the future. And that is the first magic level of my account, level 2. Level 3 magic. Safe spotting is so chill. And another way to use up some runes and get magic experience is casting Confuse and all these auxiliary spells. And there's level 5 magic. I can now cast Water Strike, so upping my DPS just a little bit. I don't know why it took me so long to safe spot that barbarian. That was embarrassing. But here is level 7 magic and level 9 magic. Now I have earth spells. Speeding through to double digits with 10 magic. Let's keep it up. And some cool tech I accidentally discovered is I can safe spot the ranger from this distance if I just get them locked over there, which is pretty neat since I am so squishy. More cool tech is I can actually have 2 of them targeted at the same time waiting for me. Just safe spotted ready. 13 magic, that is Fire Strike, nice. And 15 magic, that is a new milestone. I can cast Bones to Bananas, which is not useful, but that's 700 total level, so that's pretty awesome. And that's 19 magic. I can now use Curse, which is a higher level curse spell, which means way more XP used for my body runes. And that's one useless body rune turned into 29 magic experience. Not bad. And that's 20 magic, and just a few chunks off Saratian robe unlocks. 30 magic, I'm almost there. And that is 33 magic. I'm finally done the magic grind. I can now cast Telekinetic Grab, and I'm going to waste a Law Rune to grab Bones. Pew! Enjoy my sound effects. Okay, chunk task complete. Here we see a novice hunter. He's just set a trap for the elusive copper longtail. A successful first hunt. And this hunter grind is brought to you by today's sponsor, Random Events That Give Lamps, where I could have been done this chunk already otherwise. Funny enough, that's 34 prayer, all because of burying bird bones, and 35 hunter, almost there. And with this, I'm finally 39 hunter. I can now smoke hunter traps, which actually goes and increases the catch rate by 2%. It's something. That's a chunk task completed. Nice. It's been a solid chunk, but now I'm ready to move on, just like this bird. Now that I'm done with the South Woodland chunk, it's time to take a look at what the future may hold, good and bad. After unlocking Hunter with the training method, my chunks haven't changed much, but if I do roll the Sunset Fishing Cove, I'll have to get 65 Hunter to catch a Sunlight Moth, and sadly, without the jars to store them. I've got 2 new rollable chunks. First is the Crab Claw Caves. That's a tongue twister. This chunk has one thing I'd love, sand crabs, unlocking me a great AFK and insane combat training method. But also, it has magic trees, and unlocks a long woodcutting, fletching, and fire making grind from it. Definitely a mixed bag, but I guess I would take it. And the other is the West Woodcutting Guild. This is 5 times worse than the Crab Claw Caves, with access to redwood trees for a huge woodcutting, fletching, and fire making grind, all the way to the 90s, but without a nice AFK of crabs. At least there's a bank there though. Including the chunks I mentioned above, and the one I just did, over half of my current chunks and almost half of my chunk rolls wouldn't be possible without charters or optional boats. Chunks I have like Land's End, my favorite chunk, which has so many great unlocks for me, great training methods and fun interactions like the gangster meetings and quirky NPCs there. And then there's Sunset Coast. I wouldn't be able to step foot into Varlamore, avoiding an axe, tinderbox, and knife for a good while longer, as well as the potential for insane Hunter Guild grinds, or even stepping foot in the Colosseum. Plus, Varlamore is such a nice adventure. I'd be really sad if I didn't include this. Corsair Cove. This would be unlocked 10 years from now if I only traveled by land all the way down the map. Or potential roles such as Catherby, a small cooking grind but beside 2 skill cape chunks that I could have easily avoided with traditional rules. Port Khazard, a huge cooking and fishing grind that if I rolled before Land's End could have been an unimaginable death chunk I was risking. Corsair South Shore, Ogre Shamans and Warriors for a Bone Zone grind, but I'm also one small agility unlock from getting close to the Hunter skill cape, a skill my lamping now unlocked. West Woodland chunk has Moss Giants, so this is a Bone Zone grind as well. Forest Docks, just a small magic grind with my first guard spawn at Nature Runes, are really close to some great thieving grinds. Alderan Docks. Like the Fortis chunk before, it has guards for a small magic grind, but it would be amazing to explore this island. And even without my rules, Port Sarim has a lot of intensity to offer. Ascarnia Ice Dungeon. There's Ice Giants for a Bone Zone grind, but more importantly, releasing a month before this is the Royal Titans Duo Boss. This would be epic to go to, but I'm so severely undergeared, so maybe I could wait a bit. Remington unlocks a small mining grind and a deadly POH, but also a quest in an archery shop. Musa Docks, nothing but near Thurgo. And Trana, a huge crafting grind, 2 ships from a bank. Nope. Brimhaven, nothing but close to the agility skill cape and Big Boy Jad. Pest Control. As it's a minigame, I would unlock both chunks, but the 100 combat grind would be probably pretty tough. Fort Piscarilius, nothing but a free chunk roll in Kourend.
It's free real estate.
Falador Southwall. Guards spawn here, so you know the drill. Magic Grind. East Falador. This chunk has the mining skill cape in it with some serious smithing to use these ores and crafting to use the gems. This is currently my worst roll by far. Let's stay away. West Falador. I want to mention West Falador even though it's not rollable yet because this is a huge and slow grind versus the giant mole due to my light source and spade unlocking it. Let's stay away as well. North Draenor. A small magic grind off the undead and Draenor sewers plus a little quest. South Draenor. This chunk holds the full forestry package of collection log slots to get. It also has the Master Farmer, which means I can get the seeds to start farming passively. Okay, time to see what the future has in store for me. Wish me luck. Please, please, please be in Varlamore or Kourend or a free chunk. Please, please, come on. Something good. Oh, no. Oh. Alright, before we dive into the shipwreck of a chunk, let's take a look at our tasks. Now that I've unlocked a bronze pickaxe, I'll need to get 1 to 55 mining to mine some mithril ore. Once I'm done, it's time to explore everyone's favorite minigame, fishing trawler, which is an easy diary task. Now that I have fishing trawler, this means I'll need to catch and cook a manta ray from the trawler, requiring 81 fishing and 91 cooking to cook it, which is an elite diary task. The next diary task is take a rusty sword to Tyndall the merchant, so we can identify how garbage it is. Last but not least, it wouldn't be fishing trawler without getting the full angler set. I hope I don't go dry. Sounds easy, but this will take a while. Let's begin. It's time to go and head over to Port Khazard. Okay, this was not Port Khazard. I made a mistake here. Sorry for unlocking the music track. This is Port Piscarilius. Let me just fix that real quick. Okay, and here we are in Port Khazard. Let's unlock. Bam. Okay, so we have the charters here. Let's see, there's the nice bank. Our favorite mini game in the world. Oh god, immediate flashbacks. I gotta drop some clues real quick though. I don't want to lose them. So I'm gonna drop one here, and something cool, which I now unlocked, is wait for it. Okay, heading back to grab my other clue. All right, now something cool I unlocked is I can actually teleport to fishing trawler. So it's not an instant teleport, so it won't get me out of a sticky situation, but this means I can teleport to my chunks more easily if I ever die or something happens, which is pretty nice. Very good. And now we're here. All right, let's go talk to Murphy. Good day to you, sir.
My name be Murphy. I run the worst minigame in Gielinor, the Trawler of Dreams, where you spend 5 minutes a game twiddling your thumbs while people in chat shout slurs. It gives abysmal gold supplies and experience. Would you like to try it?
No, I don't think I would.
Too bad, suck it up, Buttercup, it's paint time.
I'll come back later. Now it's time to go head off to Tyndall the merchant. So he actually can be traded a rusty sword. And if I trade him a rusty sword, I think he gives me from an iron longsword to a mithril longsword, or even almost 2k GP. Pretty neat. Not useful, but neat little thing in a task. Okay, now it's time for the general store. Let's go say hello to my friendly local shopkeep.
Ahoy there.
Okay, let's see what we have here. So we have a bronze axe, knife, pretty simple. We do have the swamp paste. Definitely should not be buying 50. The swamp paste is, oof, 42 coins each. Okay, that's kind of rough. I mean, no point using it. It can give contribution, but it can't actually give construction experience since I don't have a POH. Yay! There's pots of flour, which will be useful if I'm making more pizzas, but I don't really want to do that for a long time, if ever. There's the usual supplies, a lot of buckets. Bailing bucket is, we're never going to need that. And rope. Okay, how much is the rope? 25 GP each. Okay. That's a little steep, but I think it can give crafting experience. Yeah, I'll definitely test that one out. And then pickaxe. Okay. All right, let's go keep on looking. So we have a plank, 2 plank spawns actually, which is gonna be pretty neat if I ever have a construction grind. I mean, it's not the worst, it's beside a bank. Although I don't hope for a construction grind for a while. The anvils over here are also close to a bank, but I definitely really would hope I'm getting a furnace before I get any serious smithing grind. Hello! Nothing up here. What else do we have? Oh, I missed that ladder over there. Okay. Ooh, this is a nice balcony view. This rent must be pretty high. Getting this view in this economy? Whew, looks nice though. Back down. Let's go take a look over here. Some good road clearing needed. Government's not doing very much there. Mithril rocks. That is the reason for our mining grind. Although there's another mithril rock over there. And if we have mithril rocks and the anvil and superheat or a furnace, I will have to make a mithril plate body with 68 smithing. Don't look forward to that. And there's another general store here. Let's go take a look what they have over there. So pretty much the exact same thing and exact same stock. Let's go take a look what they have down here. So there's 2 houses, a few chairs sitting by nothing, some cooking ranges, and just a whole lot of nothing. Okay, let's move on. Here we have Port Khazard's world-class mines.
Wow. With
copper rocks, tin rocks, clay rocks, mithril rocks, iron rocks, which we're going to stay a long time with, and nothing else. I don't think there's any coal here. There's rocks. That is not anything I can actually do things with. Rocks, and there's coal, unfortunately too far away. And that one imp that's taunting me. And that's all for our tour. Let's get started. Alright, time to start mining. Testing out the new bronze pick. 1 hit, 2 hit, and that's level 2. Nice. Super mining mode, let's go. 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's charge up for a big hit. And here is 15 mining. Now I've unlocked iron ore. Let's go charge up for an even bigger hit. Meanwhile, you can check if you're subscribed and hit like on this video for more dopamine hits. Thanks everyone. And bam, that's 30. Alright, we're gonna go for one last big hit. Get ready. 3, 2, 1, and bam! Hold up. While this power hit charges, I wanted to talk to you all about something. Sailing. Honestly, I'm excited. It's coming to the game regardless, so I'm focusing on the exciting potential it has. And it will change everything for a chunk account. With sailing coming in the near future, I need you to help me figure out how it fits into the series. Here's a few ideas I've come up with that I'd implement after this video. 1. Simply allow water chunks connected to ports to be rollable. 2. In addition to the first, also roll water chunks equal to my current land chunks. This basically makes up for me not starting with this rule originally. 3. Roll 1 water chunk every time I roll a land chunk. So I'd first roll a land chunk, and then afterwards I'd go and roll one of the water chunks. 4. Allow water chunks to be rollable. However, if I roll a water chunk, I can roll again till I roll a land chunk. And 5. I automatically start with all water chunks unlocked, but I still have to roll any port chunks and roll any new sailing accessible islands. This is just empty water chunks being free. If you're interested in casting a vote, check the comments on this video. I'll make one for each option. And please feel free to comment your own ideas as well. If you'd like to join me for some more theory crafting, discussions, or following along with my journey, I'd love to have you in my Discord. I'll have a link in the description and the comments below. Thanks for hearing me out. Bam! And that's 55 mining. Holy, that charge attack was huge. I can now mine mithril ore. And chunk task complete. That's awesome. And a quick look at the bank, 4,690 iron, as well as 181 copper and 4 tin. That's 1 mil iron though. Pretty nice. Okay, it's time for some fishing trawler. Everyone's favorite minigame. Let's go take a look. Step 1 of the trawler experience. Wait for up to 5 minutes if you just missed the previous boat. For me, it's just gonna be 3 minutes. Alright, 10 seconds left, and we're on the brig waiting for fishing trawler. Everyone is excited as I am. That is a chunk task complete. The task was just to go on the fishing trawler. But hey, we take every little task. We are now arriving at hell. Here's how fishing trawler works behind the scenes. You need to help the trawler in some way for contribution points. All you need is 50 to get rewards, and any extra does not increase your chance of getting the angler outfit. But at 255 max points, you get 50% more fish and a slightly higher chance of getting the heron pet, which I don't care that much for. The first activity I can do is chop the tentacles that appear, for a whopping 5 woodcutting experience and 10 points. You can easily fail this as it scales with your woodcutting level. Luckily my level's pretty high. So after that Kraken tentacle booty slaps the ship, a railing will break and the net will tear. I can't get any construction experience without a POH, player owned house, so there's no point to fix that railing. But for the cost of a 25 GP rope, I can get 5 crafting experience and 7 points, if I succeed. This scales with crafting, and at a 1 crafting, I failed up to 11 times before, in a row. And if anyone else fixes this, I lose my chance. Not great odds. And then there's fixing holes with swamp tar. And like the railing, I can't actually get XP from this without a POH. It costs 42 GP each, so solid nope. And then there's bailing. Bailing is if you're losing, so not going to get a lot from that. The amount of activities are actually scaled to the amount of people on board. So I'll get up to 6 tentacles, slaps/rips in a mass world per game. I'll spare you the torture watching me more on the trawler. I wouldn't want my worst enemies locked here, so let's get this over with. And we're going to get straight to looting. I only need 48 trips to reach the rate for the angler set. Wish me luck. And here's my first important trawler reward. This sword is part of most players' first diary goals and one of my chunk tasks. Task complete. Alright, let's see if we can fish up anything good. That is nothing. That is nothing. That is, yes, that is something. Chunk task completed. First piece. Back to back? Nope. Old boots, yay. I love broken glass. Buttons, another boot, a broken stick, and another piece of the set. It's been a hot minute, but chunk task completed. And level 2 crafting. So why am I trying so hard to get crafting experience? Well, under my rules, I don't count non-primary minigame experience as mandatory. This means, for example, Wintertodt counts for firemaking, since you have to get firemaking to complete it. But Herblore from Wintertodt is inconsistent experience and not mandatory to complete it. So I can choose not to count this as a valid training method. And this crafting method is 0 to 180 experience an hour, a total me method that I will not be counting. Sorry, not sorry. Anyways, back to my learning experience. So it looks like I don't get any more experience doing it solo and my boat is sinking. Oof, okay, apologies folks, but it looks like I washed up onto another chunk. At least I can teleport back, right? Sorry about that. Please break my dry streak. Oh my god, yes! That is the boots. It's been a while, wow. I totally missed this, but that's 800 total level, and more importantly, that is 81 fishing, which means my next trawler can be a manta ray for a chunk task. And the first half of my chunk task, getting the manta ray. Nice. Alright, just one more piece, come on, come on. Yes! Oh my god, that's the hat. That's the last piece we needed. I'm pretty sure I'm over 2 times dry. This has been so long. This is my 3rd account that I've actually been 2 times dry on Angler for. That's kind of wild. But I'm finally done that part of the chunk. Back in good old Land's End chunk, fishing some lobsters, and I found goblin chunk here. Hello. Just abused me right there. That feels sad. I do not have any bird. I need to fish 24,000 lobsters to have 91 cooking banked, so I'll be here for a while. And another easy clue. Can we do this? Yes, we can. Nice. And here's a throwback to the good old days when I used to fight organized crime. Me and Batman. See you next time, criminals. So I'm going to continue lamping smithing. I'm going to probably get to 14 and call it there, just in case. And 82 fishing, huge unlock for anglers. Chunky end, give me good luck with this clue. Come on, come on. Yes! Oh my god, yes. Hold on. I think this is the 3rd one. This is the 3rd beginner clue I've juggled. Okay. With these 3, that means I have a 100% chance to get a beginner clue casket. I've never opened a beginner clue casket this entire time. Technically, I have a 10% chance at 1, and I think a 50% chance at 2, or 60% chance at 2, and 100% with all 3. So I'm gonna go head over and get that started. All right, all 3 clues stacked up, and I only have 1 doable step, so it's just gonna be talking to Brian 3 times. 10% chance failed. Okay, is there the same one? Nope. Let's try again. Okay, 50 or 60% chance. Oops, not that option. Okay, last clue, let's go. Nope. Okay, failed that one. And no dupe, as always. All right. Third time, and this one is 100% guaranteed. I do lose it, but 100% guaranteed, I don't care. Let's go. That is a casket. That is my first beginner casket on this account. I am so excited. This is amazing. And now for the segment you've all been waiting for, my beginner clue tier list. Okay, starting off in S tier is the one and only air staff at a rate of 1 in 44.7. Almost all of my spells will need air runes, and this gives an infinite amount as well as a nice magic boost. Next off in A tier is every other elemental staff, for the same reason and at a rate of 1 in 44.7 each. And joining them is the Amulet of Defense T at a rate of 1 in 360. There's no attack bonus, but it looks super cool, and it gives defensive stats to everything, so it'd be my best in slot for range and melee. Heading down to B tier is the fun stuff. The stuff I don't actually need, but really want. And all at a rate of 1 in 360. The rune ornament kit for my rune scimitar would be so cool, as well as any of the fashion footwear like the mole slippers, or a thematic cape slot like the shoulder pad. At C tier, there's a few upgrades that'd be great, just in case I get a grind they can help with. First off is the Monk Robes T, at a rate of 1 in 360. It's not useful till I get 43 prayer and a way to recharge my prayer points, but it definitely has a nice bonus and looks cool. Following behind would be my best new in slot ranged weapon, an oak shortbow at a rate of 1 in 44.7. I do have a few ways to get a way better bow nearby, like a yew or maple, but an upgrade's an upgrade, so I'm happy with that. And then lastly, we have the black tools, like the black axe and the black pickaxe, at a rate of 1 in 805, like the other black items, which is insane. It would speed up any woodcutting or mining grinds though, which is nice. Swapping down to the next level, and in D tier, are the weaker upgrades. At a rate of 1 in 44.7, there's a steel axe and an iron pickaxe. E tier has a few even more minor upgrades. The black kite shield and square shields over my U shield at a rate of 1 in 805, followed by any of the major range gear I don't already own at a rate of 1 in 44.7. F tier, any other gear I haven't mentioned. FF tier. FF tier has all the real slap in the face items, basically the consumables like cabbages or miner runes. Alright, I've milked this long enough, but this is not even 1,000th as long as I've been juggling these clues, okay? Let's open this bad boy up. 3, 2, 1, and... I should have made triple F tier. This is a slap in the face. Not only are these items from F and FF tier, they're both items I already own multiple of. Wow, that sucks. Okay, let's forget that happened. And that's 83 fishing. It's time for the baguette, I can feel it. Yes, come on, give me the stale baguette. Nope. Alright, here's another lamp. And with this lamp, we get 5 smithing. Nice. This clue baits me every time. You can go to Port Sarim, but you can't go to the jail without Kourend. And 84 fishing, and 85 fishing. That is a milestone. Also, dark crabs are very at wildy. Well, time to juggle beginner clues again. And after quite a few lamps, this is gonna be 10 smithing. Nice. Wow, we're already back to 2 out of 3 beginner clue steps. That was fast. And that's 88 fishing, the last fishing level you'll see this grind. By my calculations, I should have between 23 and 24,000 raw lobsters and enough raw fish total to reach my cooking goal of 91 to cook a manta ray. Let's see if my math pans out. Alright, looking at the total of raw fish, I have somewhere around 31,000. So according to the banked experience plugin for cooking, I should have more than enough to get to 91 cooking. This doesn't factor in any burnt fish though, but I think according to my rough math, I should be okay. Fingers crossed. Starting my grind off with 82 cooking for sea turtles, which I'll likely burn. And redemption, it's time for the stale baguette. Come on, please, give me the good luck. Never lucky. And that's 1 lamp closer to 15 smithing. I don't want to actually hit 15 though, as that would unlock me smithing. And there's 84 cooking, which means I can cook anglerfish if I unlock them in a few chunks. 85 cooking for a nice milestone. And with this level, I should be almost done my lobsters and be ready to cook swordfish. That's 86 cooking. And with these 20 lobsters, we're gonna get ready to move on to swordfish and sharks, so hopefully my experience gets a little bit faster. And that is 90 cooking, my first 90 on this account. I can cook dark crabs, and also if I get to cocks, I can cook up the hunted stuff. So it's not bad at all. I can't believe I'm so close. And this is the moment I've been waiting for. I can finally end my chunk. 91 cooking. I can now cook manta rays, which in case you haven't guessed is what my inventory is full of. That is so nice. And I'm actually not burning them, surprisingly. Wait, don't celebrate yet. I was just finishing editing my video when I realized something huge. I messed up. So I was so excited to get 91 cooking and cook the manta ray, I didn't realize there was no elite diary task that appeared. That's because I wasn't actually cooking it in Port Khazard, where it says you have to. So, let's go cook a manta ray. There we go. That is an elite task completed. So sorry about that. That is a chunk task completed, everyone. Alright, let's take a moment to admire my bank after all this. Look at all this tuna. 10k tuna, 24k lobsters, 8.2k swordfish, 2.2k sharks, and 300 turtles and 20 manta rays. Here's my collection of wasted experience, and I overshot it a little bit with 800 swordfish remaining, and almost 4,700 iron ore if I have any smithing grinds in the future. And we also have a few uncut gems. And with that, the bank tour is done. Let's head to the chunk map. Alright, with Port Khazard complete, it's time to take a look at all the new chunk roles I've unlocked, and all the previous roles I have that have been changed. First off, we have the Tower of... Wait, let's take a moment and peer into the multiverse.
Huh?
Let's imagine a world where I didn't roll the Blessed Lands Enchunk and had another charter like Musa Docks and a bad fishing spot like Draenor Village. In that case, Port Khazard would have been 1,000 hours of me fishing anchovies or doing fishing trawler till 81 fishing, and cooking pineapple pizza or sardines again until 91 cooking. A complete death chunk I risked by allowing charters, but was lucky enough to avoid. Now, let's take a look at another world, where I didn't allow charters or transport, staying strict to the land-only roles. I'd have none of these fun roles, and while my chunk map would have been prettier, it would have been so much more predictable. That extra chaos is what I signed up for, good or bad. Alright, back to reality. Looking at the new potential roles, we have 3 more chunks. First off is the Tower of Life. There's a pretty cool NPC here, a necromancer, and as an evil Zamorakian wizard, they drop some fire robes to pair with their fire staff and the not so fire 55 magic high alchemy grind because of their nature and drop. But I prefer this to all the other magic grinds because having a fire staff would certainly save on rune costs. Plus, it's 1 tile off of Ardougne, a whole new city. Fight Arena. This is just a cool little quest that many players do early. However, this has taken the lives of some of our most beloved Snowflake accounts. If I roll this, I will get justice for settled. Hazelmere's Island. There's nothing here, just beat up and cook a spider, because why not? East Yanil. Now I can't roll this, but unlocking either of the last 2 chunks makes this rollable. This would be devastating. I'd have to get my first skill cape, the magic cape, as well as a sizable smithing grind and a sizable hunter grind, in which I only have a method nobody ever uses. And if I somehow unlocked agility, I'd have a huge agility grind and thieving grind with it. Let's stay away. Honestly, having Port Khazard doesn't impact my future chunks too much, besides making Grimmington not have a small gold mining grind, and reducing my motherlode mining grind by a tiny amount. But I'm loaded with food for any combat grinds at least. I have no idea what exactly I want here, but I hope it's either a free chunk like Port Piscarilius, or any chunk continuing further in Varlamore. Either way, it's time to roll. Alright, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. This is bad. And on that lovely note, thanks to everyone still watching. It means the world to me. Good luck on all your grinds, and I hope you spoon everything you need to. Till next time.